Nice to see you all here. I said a lot of stuff before, but it wasn't very important. But I will share that stuff that I was talking about. If you want to see the basic aspects of VC, it is on this website. This website can be obtained from my session page from this link. And there you can see all the stuff that I usually do talk about, because I have talked about this in many places, but even within 90 minutes, I cannot get past the basic things that I'm going to talk about now, hopefully in about 15 or 20 minutes. And that's for the sake of the people who have never seen this before. And by the way, anyone who has their hand still raised, you can bring your hand down now. So I'm going to go over this pretty quickly from my, oh, wait a minute, where'd it go here? Okay, first page. And at times I will be using the normal play style to the slideshow, but right now I'm just going to be using thumbnails because I actually do find it easier to jump around that way. Sorry about the ugly appearance of the window. So, verbal classrooms. Why is it different? Well, number one, you know, when we're always talking about how we want to teach our kids to communicate, and we want them to not worry about their mistakes, and we want them to just talk. I have been hearing that. I don't want to use derogatory words like mantra or shibboleth or anything like that, but I've been hearing people say that ever since I came to Japan, 29 years ago and started teaching. But it turns out that a lot of people who do say that then eventually in their semester assessments, in their yearly assessments, still have grammar on the test. They still have vocabulary and spelling on the test. And if the kids see that in the first semester and they figure they've got you in the second semester, they're just going to stop listening to you when you say, oh, no, it's okay to make mistakes. No, Mr. Cruz, it is not okay to make mistakes because you're grading me on accuracy. And what we have to understand is that we're going to be preaching this idea that accuracy is not what I want from you entirely. It is your communication skills. We have to, put our money where our mouths are, and not only teach it, but step away from an assessment system that requires it. But how do you create an assessment system that doesn't require it? That was the challenge that was put in front of me and a bunch of other people that came up with the basic tenets of VC. And after those 2 or 3 guys left Japan, I was left holding this system, and I had to start making changes to it because at the time, for those of you who've been here a long time, like I have, the last 20, 25 years, the level of university English has pretty much decreased. I think most of us would agree. Now, for those of you who've never seen me do this, I'm going to show you a video of me with the first introduction to the first aspects of what I talk about in class. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot something else. There. Okay, here we go. I have a very crazy way of doing this practice. Person starts at I go. When you make the question, you make it with the subject next in order. So if your answer was I go, your question will use you. I go, do you go? Your answer to this question uses the same subject, which then takes the next subject. This question uses this answer, which then takes the next subject, and so on and so on. It looks hard, but actually, once you start doing it, it starts getting pretty easy. So let's take this slowly. Do you have any questions, dear? No. Okay, so I'll go slowly. I go, do you go? I go, do you go?
You go, does he go?
Good. He goes, does she go?
She goes, do we go?
Next one after she.
Does it go?
It goes, do we go?
We go, do they go?
They go, do I go?
You go.
They go, do I go?
I go, do you go?
You go, does he go?
He goes, does she go?
Very good. Do your best. Ready? Go!
I go. You do. You go. Does he go? She goes. Does it go?
It goes.
We go. They go. They go. We go. Where does they go?
Does he go? Does she go?
We go. You go. They go.
We go.
He goes,
Set!
Wait, don't go. Yeah.
No, you go this way. You go this way. You okay? Okay. If you need to look, you can look. But when you speak to my eyes. Ready? I go, do you go?
You go, does he go?
He goes, does she go?
She goes, does it go?
It goes, do we go?
We go, do they go?
Good, do your best. Ready, go!
I go, do you go? You go, does he go?
I realize now, because I had a higher number of people who have never seen me do VC or present on VC before, that I probably should have introduced this a little bit more softly. Most of the people who are here have seen me talk about this and have seen this video like a good halfway through my presentations, or 2/3 of the way through my presentations. And there's probably a bunch of things for people who have never seen this, who are going, what the heck is going on here? From the seating plan to the actual exercises itself, I got to say, I was kind of hemming and hawing whether or not to start here. But like I said, it is all in those videos. And I want to take this time to actually push forward on the things that I do need to explain. And the earlier stuff is actually pretty self-explanatory. So I'm sorry if it's a little bit confusing, but is there anything that really strikes anybody at the top of their heads who wants to have me explain what the heck we were doing in there? And just open up your mic, because I can't see the participants list that well, but I don't think so. Okay. Fluency itself, according to the Sefer, can be kind of confusing for our students. And the Sefer, I think, is written a little too much for linguists and for professors and for teachers. And we use this information. We know it very well. We're professionals. But trying to say to students, well, you're at C1 level if you can express ideas fluently, but you're at C2 if you're very fluent, does not help students. And you're at B1 when you do not have a degree of fluency, but you're at B2 if you have a degree of fluency, does not help our students. What does help our students is when we can give them mechanical targets, okay? And if these kids want to, they tell us, Mr. Cruz, I really do. I really want to be fluent in English, but tell me what I have to do. Well, of course, you can give them a litany of things to do at home. Do this, study that, watch this movie, read these subtitles, etc. But then how do they know if they're fluent? Now, these numbers that I'm throwing at you are very much unscientific. They come from my own personal experience and my own ability to judge what creates fluency. Basically, you have to give them a word rate. How quickly can you speak? Because all of us speak at a measurable word rate. Some of us speak more slowly than others. Some of us speak more quickly than others. I know that I speak at a very high word rate. I speak at about 170 words per minute. When I'm excited and I start going like this, and you can't believe how quickly I can go if I really want to, that is about 220, 230 words per minute. And that's 4 words a second if I wanted to. But if you can speak above 100 words per minute, from 110 to 120, that is roughly the same speed as a 4-year-old child. And a 4-year-old child, a 5-year-old child is already fluent in English. Now, of course, some 5-year-old kids can't even write properly yet, but fluency comes much earlier than 5 years old. My niece was speaking fluently, essentially, for a 3.5-year-old kid at 3 years. So 3 years old, 2.5 years, she started speaking. Now, if you want to be able to give them the next step of the definition of, or at least my definition of fluency, it can't just be a high word rate, because a high word rate like this is not fluent. They have to be able to control that 110 words per minute so that it comes out at a smooth, even pace. Now, how do you promote that? That is where a measure called, the second thing here, called a mean length run is employed. And a mean length run, it's a very technical term. It's used by fluency experts, and I don't even really like it myself, but I don't have another word. And when I speak to fluency experts, I have to refer to it. A mean length run refers to the number of words. Now, actually also too, linguists and fluency experts speak in numbers of syllables, okay? Which again is useless to students because some of our students don't even know how to distinguish syllables from other syllables. In any case, I say words, okay? So I think, what is it? The average word has something like 2 or 3 syllables in it. So I'm doing it very roughly, but at least they can count words very easily. Syllables, you have to go through a whole lesson to teach them how to do it. Of 8 words or better without any kind of disfluency, any kind of like, any kind of interruption by L1. So basically, if you can say words like this and take a pause in between where you would put a comma, or at least where the phrase might stop normally, you're starting to approach fluency. And if you can put all of those words together from the very beginning of where you wanted to say something to the end of where you should stop because there's a period, then you're getting a pretty high mean length run. So you're giving them a target for the actual production, the actual rate, the actual speaking rate, the speed rate, and then how smoothly they speak. And you sometimes encourage these students, listen, you're speaking pretty fast, but I think you could speak much more smoothly if you slow down a bit and learn to control. And I'm going to show you the control technique that I have for them. Control your speaking. Speed and smoothness, take that away. Okay, those are the 2 targets you want to bring to these students. And that's those. If you're going to explain all of this, don't explain it the way I just explained it. Explain it this way. Okay, do you have speed in your speaking? Do you have speed in your responses? And can you make ideas quickly? So it isn't just about speed in your speaking. You could speak very quickly, but it takes you 5 minutes to answer the question, do you like ice cream? That's not exactly fluency. So smoothness, a controlled pace between your words and your sentences. Now, I want to show you where you eventually get to if you actually do FollowVC. Okay, you saw this a bit in my classroom, but those were just kids doing what I call an AQP drill. And I'll explain the AQP drill. But we go from the AQP drill to a few of the other exercises I'm going to show you today, and they eventually start talking like this. They're animated, they're gesturing, they know how to give and take in a conversation. They don't need questions to come up with a response. They're basically having independent conversations. This was the stage that they get to in the first semester at approximately week 13, which is the weeks before we get the final practice and eventually to the test. And I know that for a lot of people who've never seen this before, you're probably thinking, you could get those kids to speak independently, all in pairs like that? Yes, I can. I have for the past 25 years. It never fails. I know that it's probably hard to imagine that this could go, but watch my videos, follow the steps that I take, and you'll be able to do it too. Now, I want to start really getting into this from the semester assessment, because this is where I usually end up going, oh, I'm sorry, guys, I'm out of time. I wanted to talk about semester assessment, but so I'm going to start from here. Well, it's 20 minutes later. This is where I thought I'd be. Semester assessments. Okay, and here's another nice thing about this is that I can zoom in on this when I can't do that with a normal slide. The semester assessment, I print out these sheets, and I'll tell you a little bit more about how these groups are made. But these kids are put into groups of 3 or 4, okay? They will have 2 topics to speak on. Each conversation has a separate topic. That's why there's topic 1, topic 2, and there are 2 conversations. Each conversation is 5 minutes, okay? And they are marked here in these categories. And there are 4 categories, 25 points each, 100 points total. Very easy to understand, very easy for you to mark as you're sitting there watching these kids. Okay, the categories are equal and natural conversation, so they all have to contribute. They must not have memorized the conversation. You can smell that conversation a mile away. You can hear it if they're just reciting things. You can hear it if they've rehearsed an entire stage play. I really did have one group of students. They rehearsed an entire 5-minute conversation. And they thought they could get away with it because they were, and it was strange because they were the 3 best students in my class. But they thought, oh, but our English is so good, Mr. Cruz won't be able to tell. And number one, I was able to tell by the first 20 seconds. But I thought, okay, let's see how this plays out. And I was impressed that they remembered that whole thing. But here's the problem. They rehearsed it when they were relaxed and at home and sitting around a kotatsu. When they got into my test room, they were all kind of nervous and they were speaking a little bit more quickly than they probably anticipated. And they ended up finishing up at 4 minutes and 20 seconds. So here I was just looking at my watch, going, I thought I'd sit there and just wait until it got to 5 minutes. And I said, okay, well, you know what happened, right? And I didn't bomb them, you know, but I just said, you could have got an A if you had just done what I said, but they ended up with a C. Anyway, conversation style, okay? 3 words, okay? Smile, voice, okay? Eyes. You got to smile when you speak. You got to make sure that your voice enters my ears, okay? And then you've got to look at each other. You don't stare at each other, but you've got to be able to make the same kind of eye contact that at least you do in your native language. Communication, okay? Do you know how to get over communication problems? Do you know how to use questions judiciously? The AQP, again, I'm sorry, I've got for the beginners, the AQP, I'll explain in just a minute. But the answer question pattern that I use makes students think that I want them to always end with a question. And even in textbooks, there's always a question. Hi, John, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. Hey, that's a nice shirt. Where did you buy it? So there's always that question answer kind of pattern that they have. And it happens in my drills too. But I'm going to show you how to shake them loose from that kind of thinking so that then they know how to speak without questions. So, but in the test, I tell them use questions judiciously. I can't tell you to not use questions. That's unnatural. And you're supposed to be speaking in a natural conversation. A bunch of other things too. And then the last category, speed and fun. Are you having fun? Because I can tell when you're not really having fun. And are you speaking quickly? There is nothing on this sheet that asks for high vocabulary or quality grammar, not in the first semester assessment. Okay? I'm not, and I tell them specifically, if you guys screw up your grammar, if you guys screw up your vocabulary, it's okay. I know that you're trying to do it. I encourage them. The best communication is with the best English. I'm trying to teach you better English. You will communicate with each other better if you can put these sentences together in something like a subject verb order pattern. But if you can't remember, I'm going to purposely show them, and I'll show you too, how to get around these communication problems. But there is nothing in here about grammar and vocabulary. Instead, I tell them what you should really be focusing on is being able to get through this 5-minute conversation at high speed with good communication and good participation without any Japanese. This is where a lot of them fail because their nervousness, or maybe they didn't take the practices seriously. They end up saying things, and they catch themselves speaking Japanese. I'll speak a bit more about that a little bit later. But one good thing for you is that there's a way less take-home marking. You're doing this as you're watching them. The grades are there. As soon as they finish, you tally them up. You take a couple seconds to show them, here's your grade. This is just for your final exam. It's not for your total grade, but I just wanted to show you what I thought of your conversation. And you're pretty much done. Take those numbers home, plug them into the rest of your assessment, and you're done. And the students also, too, get immediate feedback at the end of the test. So this is where I was talking about all that I was saying before. And by the way, these slides will also be available on that Goldfish page. You have the videos of my presentations plus the slides that accompanied them. So you can refer to them here. And I try to make these slides basically as notes for you. And those topics that I was talking about here, topic 1, topic 2, here's some basic topics that I use. With the topics, they have you could have the first semester, okay, the 10 topics on the left, second semester, 10 topics on the right, so that they'll have a bunch of different things to talk about. And the basic rule is that in the first conversation, topic 1, they can choose from any of these topics. If they are from this list, any one of them will be fine. So choose the one that you guys want to practice, do really well in, and whatever is most comfortable for you. If you're a bunch of baseball players, do it. Go for sports, no problem. If you're a bunch of girls that like K-pop, then go for music, no problem. But I get to choose topic 2. And I will not tell you what topic 2 is until you're finished topic 1. So they eventually do have to practice all of these. There is one that they can really polish, but actually that's not where I really test them or I really pay attention to their assessment. I pay more attention to how they can handle the surprise topic. Let me show you the difference between the first year assessments and the second year assessments. Now, the first year assessments will use the same sheet. It'll look exactly like this, but in the first semester, okay, I'm going to be not participating in the conversation. I'm going to let them just have the conversation by themselves, and I'm just going to observe. In the second semester, I will join the conversation. And I'm not going to be in there to constantly be throwing wrenches at them or anything. But if there's something that I would naturally like to say in the conversation, I will join. But because, you know, I'm the wild card in the conversation, they can't plan around that as well. In the second semester, notice there were 2 assessment cards because now they're working in pairs. Okay. Now there are 2 ways to handle this. You can either do this cooperatively or adversarially. Now, if you do it cooperatively, it's basically the same as the first semester where you're saying, okay, all of you are in a group of 4. Now just have a fun conversation on, on TV, on Japanese TV, whatever you like. And they all go. And the real wild card is that they don't know who the other pair will be. And that's tough because like now they know these people, they've been practicing with them the last 15 weeks, but they haven't been able to like fine tune it. And they basically have to make it up as they go along. You could use that for the first semester. In the second semester, you can make it adversarial, which is these 2 having, a casual debate with the other 2 on the topic that they've chosen, topic 1. And then again, I choose from topic 2. And if the topic is, sports, topic 2 is sports, I say sports. The first pair that sounds off and says, Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks, Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks are the best team in baseball. The other 2 have to pick up devil's advocate and say, no, they're not, and come up with a whole bunch of reasons why. So it can be either adversarial or cooperative. And whoever says the first thing, oh, SoftBank Hawks are great. And the other pair goes, oh yeah, we love them too. I'm from Fukuoka. So that's probably what they would say. And if you do it as adversarial, it's easier to put in this whole idea of motivation in adversarial groups. So you tell them, okay, the pair that actually wins that argument, that debate, will get bonus points. And you can either choose to say demerit points for the losing team or just tell them, no, you're not going to get any points, but the bonus points go to the winning team. You can do all kinds of things with this, okay? So here you go, semester 1, okay, semester 2, semester 3, semester 4, how I can suggest that you actually split this up when I'm thinking of a 64-week curriculum, okay? I think I'm only going to be able to show you the better parts of maybe the first 3 semesters, but it'll give you some ideas about what you can do if you start seeing other ways to use the seat switching method, the AQP drills. Hopefully at the end of this, we can hear from, say, Alex Burke and Adam Jenkins, who use this in their classrooms and how they use them as warm-ups, how they use them as, I think I'm the only person who still uses these things all the way from start to finish. And I think it's because I haven't shown people how you actually finish up with this. So now what is this thing called the AQP? Okay, now I'll probably need someone to help me demonstrate this, but for most of you already seen this. Now, the AQP itself can be preceded simply by simple conjugation. Mallory's here, so she knows all about this in French. I've already shown this to her. And any of us that have studied other European languages know that conjugation is very important. We know that our students have problems in conjugation in third person. And that is something that can be practiced endlessly for the next 4 years, from first year to fourth year, and they're still going to be they're still going to be having problems with he go as opposed to he goes and stuff like that. Basically, it's as I explained it before. After you've gotten them to understand the logic behind first person, second person, third person gender, third person thing, first person plural, blah, 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 then you start showing them in verbs. You can also show that as a subject verb object listing. So not just I am, you are, but I am hungry, you are hungry, he is hungry. But it gets much more difficult when you want to get them to practice the question. The question itself is listed on the right-hand side, but the way that I do my AQP is that the answer and the question use different subjects. And if you follow that yellow line, the first person, as I said in the video, begins with I, and then uses the next subject in order to create the question. So it would be I am, are you? The answer to that question, are you, is not I am. This is a drill. This is a practice. So the rule is that whatever the question subject is, that is the answer's subject. So if I ask, I am, are you? The answer is, you are is he. You can quietly follow me. He is she. She is it. It is, are we are they are, am I am, are you are is he is is she is it is, are we. Alex, your mic is open? Or is this a bad time? It's a bad time. Adam, can you open your mic?
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to start, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I am, are you?
You are. Is he?
He is she?
The eye contact thing is throwing me right now.
It's okay. Good.
Monitors.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
Just a minute. I'll pop that across here. So
it's okay. Don't worry about it, dude.
Okay. Hey,
I'll do it.
It is. Are we?
We are they?
They are. Am I?
I am. Are you?
You are. Is he?
Good. Okay. And yes, actually, I forgot to warn you. I am assuming, we are talking about using this in face-to-face classrooms. There is a degree of this that I have used successfully in online classes, in both synchronous classes and to a certain degree, hybrid style. But I don't recommend hybrid to anyone or their dog. I don't think it's really going to help the students. I think it's an administrative Band-Aid. But anyway, that's another discussion. But what I'm assuming here is that we are back to the classroom at some point in 2022, hopefully, cross your fingers, and that this is something that you can be doing just like I'm doing it in the videos with students at their desks. That's the basic AQP. So answer question pattern, okay? The answer question pattern can be extended, and then you start doing this with the more difficult regular verbs. The irregular verbs like be or should, dead simple, right? I should you should he. There are no changes at all. But when you've got something like think, which needs the auxiliary verb do, these kids, they go from knowing what this is on paper, having seen this through, I don't know how many TOEIC tests, to suddenly not only having to do this very quickly, but having to do this sometimes without being able to look at the blackboard. So if you look at this example too, and this is important for later, they're actually doing a subject verb with an object phrase, and within the object phrase is yet another subject verb object. And if you show them, hey, look at that, that's the subject verb object, that's the object phrase to a subject verb object, and you start telling them, you remember that SVO thing that you probably thought was just a dumb rule? It's actually the key, the absolute key to everything that we want to do, not just in this class, but for all of your English communication. If you can get that into your head as an instinct for how you build English ideas, you're going to go miles. So keep this in mind, okay? Now, after they've memorized basically, or have gotten to the point of internalization, automation of the object, the pronoun order, then you don't have to write it up anymore. And you have a lot more room on your blackboard. And especially this was important when I was doing online teaching, that I needed the entire space to do longer sentences. Okay. It's also much more of a challenge for them, where this is actually just saying, okay, I to they, okay, all of this, and don't forget I, you, he, she, it, we, they, okay, and don't forget the question. You just put in the example form, and then you go with something much longer. Okay. I'm going to study at Starbucks tomorrow. Are you going to study at Starbucks tomorrow? Adam, want to do that with me real quick? Strangely enough, this actually gets easier when you don't have to look at so much stuff, because then, especially for native speakers, you just go with the AQP pattern. I'm going to study at Starbucks tomorrow. Are you going to study at Starbucks tomorrow?
You're going to study at Starbucks tomorrow. Is he going to study at Starbucks tomorrow?
He's going to study at Starbucks tomorrow. Is she going to study at Starbucks tomorrow?
She's going to study at Starbucks tomorrow. Is it going to study at Starbucks tomorrow?
And then you have all kinds of opportunities to explain the English melodic way of speaking. You then have opportunities to say, now listen to me when I say gonna, okay? Listen to me when I make a liaison between study yet, all of these things, because now you're encouraging them to speak quickly. They only have to speak quickly in what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, as a 7-word chunk. So they can put all of their focus on this one 7-word chunk to say it fast. And because they're using only that, they can feel what it actually feels like to actually speak at 120, 130 words per minute. A lot of these kids have never spoken at 130 words per minute. They probably, even if they tried, were speaking at about 60, maybe 50 words per minute. You know, literally 1 word per second. You all know what that sounds like, right? Slide up here a bit. Now, how do I promote this whole idea that you really can say this fluently? Number one, you keep it down to a short chunk, okay? And remember what I said about mean length runs. You try to target first, nothing more than 8 words at a time. And you can begin this practice that I call 1 idea, 1 breath with something like 5 words. Even 5 words can screw up these kids. I don't like to exercise. Actually, very hard for most of our kids to say in a 1-word chunk, okay? Basically, the idea is this, and you can probably figure it out. 1 idea, 1 breath. I don't say 1 sentence, 1 breath. I don't need to start bringing in a lot of grammar because sometimes an idea, which is a dependent clause, can go for 12 words and then go to a comma. And that's still not a sentence, right? So I go 1 idea, 1 breath, or OIOB. Whatever you say it all in 1 breath. You've got to control your breathing so that then you don't stop, and you've got to make sure you've got to have enough breath before you begin. And trying to get that idea out to people who do sports like archery or baseball or sumo or even ikebana is actually an easy sell, because in all of those hobbies and all of those crafts, breathing is of the utmost. And believe it or not, judo, like, you have to know exactly when to breathe or how to breathe and everything else like that. So you tell them, take a deep breath, go all the way through, control your pace all the way through. And this is where I'm going to start talking a lot more about the need for you to demonstrate this really well, which means that you have to practice this yourself really well. And I wish I was closer to other people who want to learn this, because it is a craft, being able to demonstrate it first. And it's good to be able to get lessons from someone who's done it. Some people take to it very well. I know Adam takes to it very well. Alex takes to it very well. Some people just, they need to observe themselves, but that's, you know, you can do that with like a video camera, your phone on a tripod, and watch yourself teaching and see how your face reflects, how your body language reflects, the aura that you have in front of these kids. You've got to be really relaxed, having fun, or they're going to get tensed up too. But here, let's continue. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick demonstration. I tell these kids, okay, I'm going to study at Starbucks after class tomorrow. Where are you going to study after class tomorrow? So that's the way that I would say it. Okay, and let's see. I'm gonna pick somebody at random here. Sorry to do this. David Juteau, looking relaxed there, bud.
I'm actually just.
You're nodding off?
Oh, no, not. Before your show, before your presentation, I took a nap.
Okay. Are you wakey now? Are you okay?
Well, I might be able to. I might be able to pull something together here. Yeah.
Okay. Well, basically, it's what's in front of us, and it's basically the same AQP pattern.
Yep.
The question is not just do you. Okay. It's where are you? Okay. Okay, here we go. And
I got to go through that whole pattern through the grammar sequence.
Yes. Are you sure you can do this?
I'm positive I can't, but okay. I can try and I can.
Okay. Well, it's okay, because I chose this sentence for the possibility that you're going to trip up somewhere, and then I have to treat you like a student and tell you, right? Okay, here we go. Oh, and by the way, if you need a hint, Alex very kindly put the list in the chat for the pronouns.
Oh,
but
that's what
let's go. Okay, here we go. I'm going to study at Starbucks after class tomorrow.
Where are you going to
study? No, wait, okay.
That's your job?
No, because it's that's all me. That's all me there.
Okay.
That's all me. Okay. And what I wanted to demonstrate was that I was taking a break. I was sucking in my breath again and stealing myself up, because a lot of these kids have to take a break between the statement and the question, where they trip up and they eventually fall down in terms of their smoothness, as they're trying to get it all out at once. And I tell them, see, I told you, you can't do it, because you can't even do the 7 words that are, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, it's 8 words here. it is hard. So do this as, English naturally gives you places to take a break. Use the periods, use the commas. So here we go. I'm going to study at Starbucks after class tomorrow. Where are you going to study after class tomorrow?
You are going, am I going to he now?
See,
He
you
is-
couldn't do it. No, you.
You are going to you are going to study at Starbucks after class tomorrow. Where is she going to study after class tomorrow?
Yeah, you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. You couldn't. You couldn't do it. You had to stop. Now it was a little micro stop, and you were doing it for completely different reasons than students do.
Yeah.
But it is hard if you haven't done it. I actually prepared, and I was debating with myself to actually do this in Japanese. Because if you want to know how your students, the pain that they go through with doing this, just give yourself a sentence like, 明日はお母さんと3時で博多に行く. And you go through this whole list like that and try to do that all without ever stopping anywhere. You're going to feel the pain that they feel. And you will realize in your own mind why you stopped, what was hard, and that empathy can translate into compassion and much better coaching. As Adam and we were hearing from Rachel last night, empathy and compassion. When she was saying those words, I was hearing, that's exactly the focus that I have in my class. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Now, you can take one idea, one breath, and instead of just going straight to the final product, like I'm going to go to Starbucks to study tomorrow, okay, you can scaffold this. So let me give you an example how I scaffold this. So the kids come into class, we do some shadow talking for about, the way I do it, I can explain it if you're interested, but it takes about maybe 10 or 12 minutes, sometimes 15. And then after they're warmed up with the shadow talking, then we go to the first set of exercises. I tell them what the target is, and the target is over here, okay? Okay, kids, today we're going to talk about because and so, but let's start over here. And we give them the basic warm up to be. And then I say, okay, the verb we're going to try today is to like. Oops, sorry, a little too small. To like, so let's try this. Okay, I like udon. Do you like udon? And then a couple of rounds with the kids. Next stage, okay? I'm sorry, I don't have all the photographs because sometimes I don't remember to take photographs, but I took this, it's delicious. And I put that, you remember over here when I was showing them, I think, I would put it over here with I think and say, okay, let's try think. I think, do you think, does he think? Okay, now let's put an object phrase on it. I think it's delicious. Do you think it's delicious? So they've already started scaffolding so that then when I go to I like udon, and then we go to I think it's delicious. And I say, okay, now let's take the first look at how you use because. And I say, I like udon. Now, what's the reason? Well, it's delicious. Okay. Now, if you're going in that order, okay, where you have the action, okay, and then you have the reason, that's what the A and the R are, okay. In that order, it's because. If you switch the order and you want to state the reason first before the actual action, right, then it's so. It's delicious. So I like udon, right? And then they can make it clear in their heads. Sometimes these kids, because if they're, especially if they're second year students, they don't care so much anymore about their entrance exams. They forget that order, or maybe they just never understood it in the first place. And you go with, I like udon because it's delicious. Do you like udon? Now, what do you have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Got 6 words. These kids had already been saying, I like udon, no problem. They had already said it's delicious in a longer sentence, no problem. Throw in because. Some of these kids have problems, but that's where the micro scaffolding really comes in with VC, okay? And you can do that with, I like udon because it's delicious. I like ramen. Or I don't like ramen because it's greasy, or whatever you want to do, right? Because once you've got all of this set down, then you start putting in variables. Then you start saying, okay, now you guys are pretty fast, but let's pull back on speed. Let's concentrate on smoothness. I like udon because it's delicious. Can you say it like me? Maybe you can't. Okay, let's practice again. A few rounds of that, right? Quick show of hands. Who has seen, oh, actually, I killed that share a little too soon. Who has seen this before? If you can raise your hand with the reaction buttons, who has seen me get to this? Sometimes I get to this point, sometimes I don't get to this point, but I'd like to see a show of hands if you remember what that is. Mallory does, that's it. Okay, that's cool. Okay, that's okay, because this is where, oh, Andy does. Okay, good. Okay, so this is where I thought maybe I'm going to have to start explaining a lot more. Okay, so let's get back to the slide. All right. So there's a whole bunch of stuff here, and I have to explain it. Okay, but remember what the target is of the semester. It is to get them to independent conversations. The first target is speed. They have to be able to speak quickly, so that then they can get over the whole idea of like how they speak English. They have to be able to speak quickly and start approaching 100, 110 words per minute. For them, that's high speed. For us, of course, it's almost gratingly slow. For them, it's a huge step. Now, what is the easiest way for them to achieve high speed, pardon me, within a singular time frame? It's to repeat. If all you have to say is, I like K-pop, I like K-pop, I like K-pop 3 times, that 2 or 4, maybe 4-second gap, you were speaking at about 115 words per minute. Okay, now, of course, it's not that it's nonsensical, it's just that it's not very communicative, but you encourage them to start repeating. Okay, now, this whole thing called I like music, that actually, if I remember properly, yeah, no, I kind of do, but no, I don't. Okay, I thought there'd be a few more people that have done this before, but I'll explain it through you. Okay, so imagine we did a thing where we just practiced I like music. Do you like music? You like music. Does he like music? He likes music. Does she like music? That whole practice. Okay, everybody cool with that, right? Okay, now I tell them we're going to take another step here, kids, and it's not this board. Actually, we don't need this board. I'm going to turn that off. Oh, right. I'm going to share from my iPad. Excuse me here, everyone. Start broadcast, take my phone. Come on, got my notes. Okay, so we would go from I like music, and pardon me, yes, I know my handwriting is horrible. Do you like music? We go from that basic thing right there. Okay, imagine this is my blackboard. I say, okay, let's try something new, guys. Okay. Now, what I want you to do is basically take that answer, and every time you say, you don't say it once, you say it 2 times. Okay, and they're all going, what? No, really, I want you to say it like this. I like music. I like music. Do you like music? Oops. Do you like music? I like music. I like music. I'm sorry. You like music? No, sorry. I like music. I like music. Do you like music? I forgot a step. But the first one before the 2 times is tell them just I and you. So no more of he, she, it, we, they. And it gets kind of weird, so you have to make it a little bit comical. So let's see who's good here. Susan. Oh, come on. So just I and you, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so have fun, because when I demonstrate, I try to make it look goofy, okay?
So do I need to say the first sentence twice? Is that the deal?
Nope, I'm gonna do that again.
Just I like music. Do you like music?
Yep, so just that. Okay, all right, here we go. I like music. Do you like music?
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 See, now that's perfect. That's excellent. So once you get these kids to get over that, and they start feeling, a little bit less inhibited, say, oops. Then you say, now let's repeat that. Okay, Susan, I'm going to be using you all the way through this. Okay, so we double up. And again, you start stressing the whole idea about, putting a different intonation, putting a different stress on certain words, okay? I like music. I like music. Do you like music?
I like music. I like music. Do you like music?
I like music. I like music. Do you like music?
I like music. I like music. Do you like music?
So they're all starting to have fun here. And then I say, okay. Now they're all going, the hell is this all about? And I explained to them, okay, First of all, you guys have to understand that I want you to start speaking quickly. And this is the easiest way for you guys to start speaking quickly. But also remember that in communication, one of the cheapest, easiest ways to elevate your communication is to learn to repeat what you may have not just said very well. If you're standing there on a platform in Chicago, waiting for your train, but you're not sure you're at the right platform, you don't think of a very difficult grammatical sentence. You just say to this station master who just happened to be walking by, this platform 4, this 4. And if he gives you a weird face, because maybe, for all you know, it's just too loud, maybe your voice was too small because you were kind of shy, okay? That doesn't mean that you have to change anything in your grammar or your vocabulary or worry about your pronunciation. Just say it again. Is this platform 4, number 4? Say it again. And I swear to God, 80% of your communication problems will just melt away, because mostly they can be cured just by making sure that you say it again. This is what we're doing. We're going to take away your inhibitions to say things again. They do it at 3 times. They go nuts. And then I tell them, okay, how about this one? And they're, they're starting, oh my God, no. And then, and I tell them, now the purpose here is to see how far you can get away from the tendency. And a lot of them will have this in the rows to just say this robotically. I like music. I like music. I like music. I like music. Do you like music? And you kind of have fun with it. And you show them that, you're kind of acting like a robot. And I do a little robot dance with these students when they start doing that, and show them, pretend you're surprised in 1 sentence. Pretend that you're happy in 1 sentence. Pretend that, your dog died yesterday in 1 sentence, and all of these things. And just vary it up, because this is where you can start practicing it without worrying about it, because everybody's practicing in front of you. Okay, so once we get past this, okay, where they're easily doing 4 times. Oh, another variation is once they start getting good at it, I take pieces of paper, scrap paper. I ball them up, and depending on the number of students in each row, that will determine how many balls of paper I prepare. I hand them to one student, they pass it to the next student, and I tell them, just keep passing, just keep passing. Put another ball in the other student's hand, it'll go counterclockwise, and I tell them, okay, now, ready, go. And they have to do, I like music, I like music, I like music, I like music, do you like music, while they're passing these paper balls around. And this is the same concept that I had with increasing the cognitive load when you're doing walking videos. When you're doing something at the same time that you're trying to speak in your second language, it is much harder. Okay, any questions about that? Anyone? You can open up your mic. No? All righty.
Sorry, so...
Sure. Oh, Alex, yeah, Adam, you go first. Adam, you go first.
The ball thing, why were you bowling, just passing the balls just for the sake of passing balls?
It is a cognitive load increase. Being able to do, I wish I could do it in the classroom. I'm sorry, I wish I could do it with you right now. You will feel how hard that is if we were doing it in Japanese.
So what, they pass it on the beat, or?
Nope, they just got to pass it as fast as they can, okay? They've got to keep their eye contact with the other person in front of them. You establish the actual movement of the balls, make sure they don't drop it, and then suddenly you say, ready, go. And then they know what that means, and they start speaking with each other, but they're concentrating either on the ball that's coming and making sure that it passes to the next person, or they're concentrating on their eye contact with this person, or they're concentrating on actually saying the English. Those 3 things, they'll screw up one thing or another. And as long as they're motivated students, they're going to try to do all 3 well, and they can't do it until they get good at it. Alex.
I've done this with my classes this year, and I've also ended up doing it with these kids in breakout rooms, doing this, and it invariably makes them laugh. Mm-hmm. And they could all do with a good laugh, and I think we could do with a good laugh. Can we do a breakout room? Is there time?
You want it? Okay.
I think we should.
All righty. And sorry, no. Now I've got to do some editing. That was the recording button. Way to go, Jose. That was a really good book you wrote. Okay, breakout rooms. We got 22 people here. Recreate and assign automatically 22. I'm going to put you in pairs, and one group will be a group of 3, which will need 10 rooms.
Jose, I'm not sure if you're going to have time. You've only got 6 minutes left.
Damn, guess I have to end here. Okay.
Oh.
No, it's okay. It's just a joke. But thank you. Now we're going to maintain momentum. I don't think it counts though if you do it on purpose. Okay.
Just to let you know, not everyone who's participating right now is able to actively participate in a breakout room. We just got a message about that. Yeah.
Okay. A message in chat.
Yes.
Okay.
Megan is not able to participate.
Megan is
not able to speak. Maybe she can listen.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to initially put everybody into the breakout rooms, and the people who are saying now, that's Megan and Linda, I think she's on a coffee break too. I'm going to put them back into the conference room. Or wait a second, maybe I'll do that from here. So now I got to recreate. Thank you for telling me that, Susan.
Yep, sure. They can listen, just can't participate.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, she can listen. Then I'll keep her in a breakout room in the 3s. Okay. I'll figure that out. Actually, I have to run now. Okay. Okay. I got to recreate this entirely. Okay. Okay. Everybody who can't do breakout rooms, split it.
And only one John. Apparently John's logged in twice. Okay. This is getting really complicated.
Yeah, it is getting really complicated. Yeah. John, which device can you not be sent into a room with?
Do the one where you see me, not the one where, not the one that is.
John, PC.
PC.
Yeah, that's the one to use.
I will do my best. Okay, so let's, that means Nick, did Nick go? Yes, I believe he left.
Seems to have, yes.
So that means 2019, 18. So we're gonna do this as 9 rooms. And if you don't end up with a quick pair, okay, I'm really sorry. Oh, Isles also is not here. Okay, but I'll do my best to make sure that you get into a pair. You can go into a pair. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put you in 3s just to make sure there's enough. Okay, 18 means 6. And
can
if
you clarify what we're going to do in the breakout room?
Yeah, first I got to make the breakout rooms because this is the first difficult thing. Before I send you in, okay, I'll tell you what you're going to do. Okay, so sign automatically. Okay, you're basically, do you see my share?
Yes.
David? Yeah, okay, good. Okay, he's muted, sorry.
Yes.
And you're gonna do, I like music, I like music, I like music, I like music. Do you like music? And you're trying to do it fast. You're trying to do it with intonation. You're trying to do this with variation, but at the same time, trying to maintain your eye contact and all of those things that we were showing before. Okay, now, let's see. Isles is in a room, so there's gonna be 3 people in there. That'll be no problem. John, ESL Helwig is in a room, but there are 3 people in there with him. Anybody else? Megan. Okay, so I'm gonna put, I'm gonna put Megan over here. Well, no, actually, no, there's still 2 people. Alex and Andy will be a pair. I think generally you guys are gonna be okay. Okay, and if there was any problems when you come back into the room, you can tell me now. Breakout room timing. If you're gonna be doing this still in online classes coming up this semester, I first tried to do this at 2 minutes per room. And
2 minutes.
Yeah, it was a little long, right? And by the time I realized it was getting long, and even the kids who were enthusiastic and trying to do it well, were getting kind of bored by the 90th second, I cut it down to 1 minute, and that was fine. Now, in my normal classes, I'm actually even less than that. 45 seconds, you know, maybe 50 seconds. I hardly ever go to a full minute, but it depends on the task. But most AQP exercises are less than a minute. So I'm going to make this only for 1 minute. And I need a countdown. My countdown timer usually is for 10 seconds, just so that then I personally don't like being bounced immediately into the conference room. So at least I give you the minimum countdown timer of 10 seconds. Okay. Any other questions before we go in? Okay, here we go. Enjoy.
Actually, we did laugh.
You will.
We did it, but we laughed.
Yeah, yeah. Other feedback. Julie, what did you think?
That was fun.
It is fun. It is, and now you got to imagine trying to do this in Japanese, right? Sports ga suki, sports ga suki, sports ga suki, sports ga suki, sports ga suki desu ka? And you're eventually going to like start getting tongue-tied, and you start saying weird things, which you know, you probably shouldn't be saying when we're being recorded. But I'll thank you for telling me that, Alex. I was going to use breakout rooms a little later, but that's a good place to start. Okay, any questions about that?
My question about that would be, maybe it's general, but since you have been teaching online in the last year and a half, how often or how much of this program have you been able to integrate into your class?
Basically up to the AQP. That's it.
Okay.
I didn't get, I didn't, number one, I no longer have a class where I can implement this full VC curriculum. And I'm kind of worried about that because a lot of the evolution of it, a lot of the new techniques that I try were done in these classes that I'm no longer in charge of. I've been cut down and I've been told that these are the textbooks we want to use, Mr. Cruz, or this is the target that we want to use, Mr. Cruz. We want you to do writing here, Mr. Cruz, and I can't do a full VC curriculum anymore. So that being the circumstance, I use the AQP to do things like task creation. We're going to go over task creation a little bit later, which means taking any textbook material that you have, looking at it and saying, okay, this wants me to do relative pronouns. Okay, how do we scaffold relative pronouns using the AQP and getting them to do fluency exercises while they learn to internalize relative pronoun creation? Basically nothing more than the AQP, because they also have tests that they have to do. Sometimes the test is made for me, saves me a lot of work, but to get them ready for that test, and we have to practice something that actually does involve accuracy and complexity.
So if I may, that probably is about the level at which most of us could use it at, because we can't go in and change our courses. One relationship that I see here where I could use it, like immediately I have to use it, which is my TOEFL classes. They have to speak at roughly, they have 1 minute, 45 seconds to answer, and they got to get about 100, 110 words in 60 seconds. And fluency, that's fluency, right? That's all right. What we're just talking about today. So this is some element of this is going to be useful for me for sure. I'm not sure exactly how I would use it.
And not only the AQP itself will be useful for you, David. Once you see how this goes to independent conversations, for that TOEFL class, they have to be able to come up with ideas quickly and then say them quickly and then say them smoothly. Yeah. And the practices they're doing here will also be very handy for that.
No, okay. Yeah, thank you.
You're very welcome. Anything else? Okay, and we're going to go back to a share here. Now, this still is dictating to the students what you're going to say. There are some people that don't like music. I have met them. But if you were to say something like sushi, I have met Japanese people that don't like sushi. Strange, but that's okay. Now, what you want to tell them is, why don't we go to the next step? And after you learn how to do I like music, okay, why don't we start changing some of these words? And that's what that word new is, okay? So and this is where I need to get back to sharing to my iPad. Excuse me, everyone. I only just started deciding to try using my iPad for this just today. It's a bit of an experiment. And start share, yes. And good notes. Okay. So if that actually said, I like music, and the question down here was, do you like music? Sorry about my bad handwriting. I would tell them, okay, next thing that I want you to do, I'm going to take out that number 4, and I'm just going to put in a question mark and say, repeat this as much as you like. And first they're going to have quizzical looks on their faces. What do you mean? You mean as much as I want? Yes, as much as you want. If you want to repeat it just 2 times, you want to repeat it 10 times, it's up to you. And they go, okay. But the reason why is you have a new task, okay? You have to repeat that until you can come up with a new word. Some word that actually does fit grammatically, okay? So you don't say something like, I like, well, actually you could say I like blue, but something that actually, I can't come up with an example all the time, but something that actually does make sense. You take that word and that also, you repeat at least twice. As I told you guys before, the best way to communicate is just to say something twice. You can't predict exactly what you're about to think of to replace that word, and neither can your partner. So don't hinder them by saying it only once. I know that you want to finish up this turn and get over your speaking turn as quickly as you can, but help them out and at least say it twice to them. But, say it 3 times. That's even more helpful. Then you take that and you put it, into the question. So we could start with, I like music. 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 I like sports. I like sports. Do you like sports? That question with that new word then comes up here and replaces music. And becomes the repeat word, the answer word for your partner. That is the answer word. It's already been established. Very easy to repeat. They repeat that until they get a new word. Okay. Alex, Burke, I think you've done this with me before, right?
Yep.
Okay. Want to do this with me?
Okay.
Okay, here we go. I like music. 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 I like pizza. I like pizza. I like pizza. I like pizza. Do you like pizza?
I like cats.
Nope, you're doing it wrong.
Oh, I like a pizza. I like 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 cats. Do you like cats?
You did it wrong again. Okay, so, but that's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Because students will do that too. Okay. They either go straight to their answer because they're confused, or I remind them, no, see, if I was not your teacher, I wouldn't be able to pick that up on one statement. And you got to help the other person out by saying, I like cats twice, or you'd say it until you can see it on their faces. They'll go,
so I had to keep saying, I like cats. I like cats. I like cats.
Until you're sure the other person understands. That's the beginning of communication. You're not saying it for yourself. You're saying it for the other person. And that's where you begin telling them, see, you're not watching the other person. You were looking down on the floor, trying to concentrate on your English. That's why you can't communicate. You got to do eye contact at the same time. So
that's camera on activity.
Right. And lots of teachable moments, because for a lot of these kids, they've never actually come up to this point where they actually have to convey new spontaneous information to their partner. So let's try it again. Okay. I like cats. I like cats. I like cats. I like cats. I like dogs. I like dogs. I like dogs. Do you like dogs?
I like dogs. 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 I like geckos. 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 Do you like geckos?
I like geckos. 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 I like snakes. I like snakes. I like snakes. Do you like snakes?
I like snakes. I like snakes. I like snakes. I like snakes. I like air conditioners. I like air conditioners. I like air conditioners. I like air conditioners. Do you like air conditioners?
So probably most of those words were true, but some of them were not. But just so that then we can get everybody to give that a try. Was there anyone experiencing any problems in their breakout rooms previously? Like too many people, or I was there alone, anything like that? Otherwise, I'm going to shoot you into the same rooms just for the sake of efficiency. Okay. Does anyone have any question about the task at hand? Now here's the David.
I'm just thinking through the process. So like roughly 4 times plus a new one a few times, and then.
You repeat the repeat word as much as you need until the next word comes.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna show you another task where that's actually used as a constraint. Okay. But you feel free to repeat as much as you like. Okay. You repeat the new word that you've chosen until you feel that the other person understands.
Gotcha.
The question is tough. I tell them it's tough. So just do it once, but just shoot the question out once and then go through the cycle again. Okay. Okay. Thank you. That was a good question. Anybody else? Okay, here we go. Going back into your rooms. And oh, by the way, here's another instruction that I give them. The first person who will speak, don't start doing junk in or wasting time like that, okay? The first person who lands in the room, someone will land in the room first. You'll notice that there's nobody else in the room, okay? Prepare yourself as the first person. When the second person arrives and you can see that their audio is good, you just say stuff at them. You don't say, okay, you ready? You're comfortable? Nothing like that. Just start with the first statement. When the third person arrives, include them whenever they arrive, okay? Okay, here we go. Comments. Let's see. May, what did you think?
Hi. Yeah, I have this like impulse to change the like into something else. And I feel like if my students were doing it also, they probably would get that.
Depends on the student. I probably, you know, for my kids who are around TOEIC 400 to TOEIC 550, they take instruction well, and their brain works in a different way, which is to find the easiest path to the destination. And they don't want to change. Like is the easiest thing for them to say, so they will stay with that. I think our brains as native speakers work differently. We're looking for variety because this is like child's play to us. But for them, I think they'll probably stay on task. Anybody else? Okay, now here's where we can have a little fun with this, okay? Because I don't like geckos. I mean, I know that they have a place in the food chain. They eat mosquitoes while they're clinging onto your mosquito netting, and they eat all the bugs that sit on the mosquito netting. I found out about that. So like, don't flick the geckos off your mosquito netting. They're actually eating bugs that are landing on there. But I don't like them. And I was forced to say I like geckos because of the way that the grammar was structured. So you can start doing things like saying, okay, let's practice the negative. We were practicing that earlier today when we were doing the first warm-ups, and we practiced how to turn do into do not and how to tag that onto a regular verb and say, I don't like. Okay, now, if you don't like what your partner said, tell the truth, okay? So when I start saying the switch has been extended, and by the way, I call this phase of VC the switch because they're switching these words. The first part that you want to try is to get them to actually say their own opinion about this thing that they have been asked of. If they don't like pizza, pineapple pizza, then it's okay. Just say, I don't like pineapple pizza. Okay. If you don't like sports, and there's some girls that don't like sports, say that you don't like sports. Okay. So that would be the first thing that you say. So basically the exercise would look more like this, okay? Don't worry about the and buts, okay? So that asterisk is where you would put in the don't, if it is something that you feel is the truth. If you don't like sports, and even the word that you came up with, the new word is something that for some reason is something that you don't like, but it was the first word that you came up with, then you say, I don't like sports. I don't like pineapple pizza. Do you like pineapple pizza? And then you'll find out your partner likes pineapple pizza because they're telling the truth. Yeah, it's okay. I'm reading the chat. It's all right. I don't like pineapple pizza. So this is the part that I call the truth. So say what is true. Okay. Mr. Jenkins, shall we talk about pizza? After you unmute at any, oh, you're away. Oh, you're away. I'm sorry. Didn't even see that part. Monica, would you like to give this a try?
I'm muted. Okay, sorry. What am I supposed to do again?
Okay, so basically what we did just before, but if I come up with something like, I don't know, I like mozuku. Do you like mozuku? And you really hate mozuku?
I don't like mozuku.
Oh, you do like mozuku? Oh, so
I don't like mozuku.
Oh, you don't like mozuku? Okay, so you just say you don't like mozuku, okay? Or if I come up with a tofu and you hate tofu, just say I don't like tofu, okay?
And then do I repeat that? I don't like tofu. I don't like tofu. I don't like tofu. I don't like pineapple pizza. Is that right?
No, okay. Well, as an instructor, you can lay down the law in any way that you like, which is say everything is negative, even if it's something that you do like. I just want you to practice. I don't.
Ah, okay.
Because for a lot of, but that's a stage that you choose. It depends on how you feel your students are going. If you want to jump that, can say, let's just go straight for truth. Okay. Whatever your feeling is about the word, the only words that you can say are like or don't like. So not the degree of like or dislike, but either yes or no, but you have that choice. It depends on how you think your kids will do. One of the important things that you're going to learn to do in VC is, as an instructor, watch your kids on that day, because even though they were doing really well maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, this week was just the end of the baseball tournament, the professional baseball tournament, and all these baseball players are tired and their brains aren't going to be working that well. And as a good coach, you're going to gauge that and change things around. But if they're doing well, then skip ahead. Whatever you think will work, and whatever didn't work this time around, then adjust that for the next class. Maybe it's the way that you did it, the way that you didn't do it. Okay. Otherwise, you can choose like or don't like to adjust it to the truth you feel about the word. Okay. And by the way, I don't really spend this much time explaining things, but I have way more time in class to explain this to second language learners, because, we're talking about 90-minute blocks. And at this point, we've covered this in like an hour and 15 minutes, but this would be around week 7 of the semester. And I'm slowly scaffolding them, doing all kinds of demonstrations to show them, you know, this is what you have to do. So I'm trying to cheat by explaining, but normally I don't explain, I just demonstrate. Okay, Monica, you ready to go?
Okay, sure.
Okay, I like sports. 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 I don't like cricket. I like sports. I don't like cricket. I like sports. I don't like cricket. I don't like cricket. I don't like cricket. I don't like cricket. Do you like cricket?
I don't like cricket. I don't like cricket. I don't like cricket. I don't like cricket. I don't like baseball. I don't like baseball. I don't like baseball. Do you like baseball? Good. Now, if you had stopped any longer at that I might have said something, right? Because I want these kids to go straight through. I don't like cricket. I don't like cricket. I don't like cricket. I don't like cricket. I like baseball. I like baseball. Or what did you say? You don't like baseball? What I don't remember exactly, but I want them to keep up that cadence, okay, where they're not stopping, because more than likely they will not say They will probably say eto, right? As native speakers, that's our fallback fill word, though, right? Okay, now we take that, and if you see this entire construction, I tell them, okay, everybody, we were just doing I don't like. Now we're still staying with I don't like, okay? But now the new word has to be joined to the last repeat sentence with the word and. I don't like sports. I don't like sports. I don't like sports. I don't like sports, and I don't like baseball. I don't like pizza. I don't like pizza. I don't like pizza, and I don't like lasagna. Okay. Then you switch it up and you say, let's go back to the positive. Okay. Everything is like, whether you like it or not, really. And then you can see that it's also and. The role of but is most important when you're saying, okay, now tell the truth. Now you have a lot more work to do here, though. Okay. You have to provide an opinion response to your partner's question. To come up with a new word, you have to devise your opinion response to your new word. Maybe it's something you like, you don't like. You also then have to choose the conjunction dependent upon the two types of grammar. If you don't like something, but your next word, or sorry, your response to your partner's question was, I don't like, but of course, the most likely thing is you'll come up with a word that you do like. You have to make sure that that's but, because I don't like cricket, but I like football. I don't like cricket, and I don't like baseball. I like sports, but I don't like karaoke. There's a lot going on in there for our kids to be able to say that 110 words per minute smoothly. And this is where you scaffold these things so these kids aren't suddenly shot out a demand by the teacher. Okay, Jenkins, take this 20-word sentence and say it smoothly. And you've never had a chance to actually say it ever before. And you're just quivering in front of class. And of course, you're going to look down and read the text. We can't do that in Japanese. Well, maybe some of us could, but I know I can't. And micro scaffolding like this really helps these kids. And as Alex was pointing out, it helps their writing too. There's fluency in writing. And if you've done this in your brain through your mouth, it'll come out your fingertips fairly well. Okay, any questions so far? No. Okay. That's an extended slide. Okay, you can go on. Okay, I like summer. I like summer, but I don't like winter. Okay, so just a few examples of that. Now, on the left-hand side, you can see where I start talking about, that's the positive, like, and there's don't like. And you see there's extra space there, okay? Because once we start telling the truth and they're starting to get used to it, I also say, hey, let's talk only about sports. Hey, let's talk only about music. And I start the word, I like music, 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 but I don't like AKB48. And then I'm an old man and it goes all the way back. But you ask the kids, do you like AKB48? And if it's a girl or maybe some guy, it doesn't matter. They say, oh, I like AKB48. And they start learning how to, be contrite with their teacher. I'm sorry, but I don't like AKB48. Or I'm sorry, I like AKB48, which is hard for them to do sometimes. And then you give them the details of at least a few sentences to express the degree of like that they have. Sometimes they hate it. Sometimes they love it. Some of these kids have a problem saying the word love because they're not used to it. They don't think of tennis and that, ai suru hodo tennisu ga suki. That's not something they think of, right?
But this is actually, you look at this and you go, good Lord, that's simple grammar. Yes, but you're not going for grammar. You're going for them to be able to go through a brain phase that they've never done before, which is take 7 possible, and this is just 7 possible variations on something, all the way from the scale of something you love to something you hate, and say it smoothly. So we were to do something like this. Look at that. I don't like sports very much. That's an entire sentence in itself. And then to do everything else, I don't like sports very much. 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 I don't like sports very much, but I love pineapple pizza. I don't like sports very much, but I love pineapple pizza. I don't like sports very much, but I love pineapple pizza. 11 words. And if a kid was able to actually do that in front of me, I'd be cheering them on, wouldn't you? Let's see. Who will I ask? There are only 6 people here. Adam, let's talk about pizza. Or are you away still? You're not, I think.
I was actually back before, but I only came back right when you were saying you don't like pineapple pizza, and I was just, someone convinced him, and I wasn't here to see it happen. Jeez.
Here we go. Okay, here we go. Now, do you understand the structure? Let me show you the structure one more time here.
Random number of times say it, and then if you need an and, put an and. If you need a but, put a but.
Right. And don't forget to repeat that entire long phrase, the entire long phrase. And these choices, probably for a native speaker, are easy to remember. The toughest things these kids will do is they don't want to say very much because, it's hard. But what would you like me to keep on board? That or this? Okay, let's stay here. Okay. I like sports very much. 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 And I love tennis. I like sports very much and I love tennis. I like sports very much and I love tennis. Do you like tennis?
I don't like tennis. I don't like tennis. I don't like tennis. I don't like tennis. I don't like tennis, and I don't like any sports very much. And I don't like any sports very much. I don't like tennis, and I don't like any sports very much. I don't like tennis, and I don't like any sports very much. I don't like tennis, and I don't like any sport very much. Do you like cycling?
No. See, you were stuck on any sports, and because that was the choice that you made, the cycle requires you to actually say that. So you would have ended up asking me, do you like any sports? And I'd go,
do you like any sports?
And I would say, yeah, I like sports very much. I said that at the start.
Yeah. Okay.
That's okay. It's okay. It's okay. The kids take time to figure this out. And because they're paying attention to what's actually being said, that's where some of the laughs come in, right? In the individual pairs, they go, "Sakitta jan," or whatever, like, "Mo sakitta yo, mo tarashii kobo dase yo, omae," mitaina. And yeah, it's really fun. Did you want to try this? Do you guys want to try this? It's harder than it looks. No, because it's harder than it looks. Okay, but any questions at this point? Okay, so let's keep going. So that's the preferences list, and they're starting to get a little bit more independent. They're saying things that are the contrite statements against what the other person is saying, but they're also learning how to, because, I show them in demonstration. I don't like tennis very much. I don't like tennis very much. How to show just through their gestures. And I'm sorry, but I know you love tennis, but I don't like tennis very much, kind of thing. You're showing them all of that stuff. Now, this incredibly complicated diagram. Let's take a look at this little bit by little bit. Okay. We're going to this topic called my room. Okay. Now where this, and I realize now I should have put in another slide, but this, the AQP, one of the great things about it is that it actually does teach grammar until you get it fluently. And I wish I had, okay, so I'm just going to come over here and I'll show you this from over here. Okay, share screen and start and come on. Oh, sorry. Yes. And okay. If I was to write this up, I like my bicycle. Okay, we'll just keep it simple for now. Do you like your bicycle? But I still asked you to do this all the way from I to they. You realize that you have to replace this and this and this and this. Dave, ready to go?
Me?
Yes, sir.
Why are you always picking on me?
Wasn't that a song? Isn't that a lyric? No? Okay, yeah.
Why is everybody always picking on me?
Okay, you ready? I'm picking on you. So ready? Now let's just go. Okay.
Yeah.
I like my bicycle. Do you like your bicycle?
I'm not sure what to do.
Okay. Alex.
You like your bicycle.
Pick somebody else.
He like his
bicycle? Okay. Mr. Jenkins and I. Mr. Jenkins, ready? I like my bicycle. Do you like your bicycle?
You like your bicycle. Does he like his bicycle?
He likes his bicycle. Does she like her bicycle?
She likes her bicycle. Does it like its bicycle?
It likes its bicycle. Do we like our bicycles?
We like our bicycles. Do they like their bicycles?
They like their bicycles. Do I like my bicycle?
I like my bicycle. Do you like your bicycle?
Now, that's hard. And I will actually make you guys go into a breakout room to do that right now. But any questions before you, some people are running away. How many have I got here? 19. And I don't know who's here or who's not. Isles is still not here. Okay, I'm going to try to put you, I think most people are actually active. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Recreate. I'm going to put you into 7 rooms, and I'll try to make sure that everybody, and let's make it 8. Everybody has a good pairing, but it should be mostly pairs now. But let me take a quick look at this. Isles, yeah, he's in a 3-person room. Megan, are you there yet? Oh, David suddenly ran away. Okay. Suddenly people are running away. Okay, now I've got 4 people who are running away. Okay, I'm gonna recreate this to make these bigger. Sorry.
Okay, Megan says she still can't chat. She's listening but can't chat.
Okay, David just got called away.
Just got called away.
Yeah, my timing in life is just amazing. Okay, so
yeah.
Sorry, Susan?
That's okay. I was just gonna say people are dropping out. It might not work very well this time.
We'll see. Okay, I made the groups larger again, but just give it a try. Any questions before you go in? Do your best, everybody. Okay, just to remind you, you're all muted, but does anyone have a question or want to comment?
We did great. Julie and I did a great job.
Really? Do it with me right now. I like my bicycle. Do you like your bicycle?
You like your bicycle? You like your bicycle. Does he like his bicycle?
He likes his bicycle. Does she like her bicycle?
She likes her bicycle. Does it like its bicycle?
It likes its bicycle. Do we like our bicycles?
We like our bicycles. Do they like their bicycles?
That's fantastic. You're right.
Yeah, Julie was great.
Yeah. Now, where I sort of lay a trap for them, but it's a friendly trap, is I don't remind them that we is a plural first person. And maybe a brother and sister are sharing a bicycle. Okay, but you could do it with something like, I like my book bag. Do you like your book bag? That's probably not something that's necessarily shared between 2 people. And I catch them and they say, we like our book bag. And at the end of the demonstration, I said, did you notice that I laid a bit of a trap for you? Or something like, I do it even before we get to what I call the double variable conjugation, where I say, I like to, oh God, now I can never think of examples when I really want to, but something with the indefinite article or an, and then we get to the plural and they need to know how to take that out. And I say, see, you forgot. Oh, you're right. I forgot about that. Because it's a world of difference, as we know, between what you see on paper and what you can actually see. Now, once you establish that double variable conjugation, I, my, you, your, that's why it's called a double variable. Okay. They're ready for this idea that they're going to talk about my family. Okay. And they're going to be talking about a person. I like my family. 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 I like my mother. I love my mother. I love my mother. I love my mother. Do you like your mother? I love my mother. 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 But what if you want to come up with the word sister? I have to introduce to them the idea that you have to choose yet another variable, which is that with some people, you can say like directly, like your grandmother, your grandfather. But this person might not have a sister. While you can say directly, because you do have a sister, they say, I love my sister. Do you have a sister? Because you're assuming that you've just met this person, you're talking at a party and you're just talking about your family. That's another variable for you to say. And you have to choose this variable. Do you have a sister? Do you have an uncle? But do you like your mother? Do you like your father? Then they're trained, and little by little, I start putting in these little bits, okay? I have a sister. I have an uncle, okay? I like my uncle very much. I hate my uncle. I don't like my uncle, okay? I don't like my uncle. I don't like my uncle, but I love my mother. I don't like my uncle, but I love my mother. My mother is cute. My mother is kind. Little by little by little, every single line of this was scaffolded. They are given, oh, I don't have that one here. Do I have it elsewhere? No. They are given also too, I'll talk about this in a second, but let's go back to that other slide. They're given the vocabulary for things like you review the category, like, okay, everybody remember how to say kawaii? Okay, cute, that's good, no problem. How about kakkoi? Cool, okay. How about kibishi? You know, your father is strict. Oh, strict. And they go on and on. You talk about their actual personality characteristics, their physical characteristics, tall, short. Okay, I make a joke about someone's father being, being quiet. He never says anything. He just watches TV. Whatever. Have fun with it. Let them start to express themselves. And Japanese kids, or pretty much anybody, love talking about their family. They also can talk about their possessions. So you can start from my room. And that's the main topic word, my room. You get them to think of what's in your room. And when you say room, watashi no heya, a lot of kids will just assume that means not just their own personal room, but their apartment where they're staying. And you say, do you have a sofa? Do you have tatami? Not everybody has tatami. Do you have a kitchen? Oh, that's good. You live in your own apartment. Some of these kids live in a dorm. They don't have a kitchen. So even when you ask, I like my kitchen, do you have a kitchen? The answer could possibly be no. I don't have a kitchen. 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 I like my hot carpet. I like my hot carpet. I like my hot carpet. Where is my cursor? I like my hot carpet. Come on. I like my hot carpet. I like my hot carpet, but I don't like my kotatsu. I like my hot carpet, but I don't like my kotatsu. My kotatsu is brown. My kotatsu is brown. My kotatsu is small. My kotatsu is small. Do you have a kotatsu? I don't have a kotatsu. It goes on and on. And you will find that these terms start to get longer. And if you...
There's a quick message. You're still sharing from your iPad, so it's...
Oh my God.
Like trying to share slides to us, and we're not seeing them.
Thank you for telling me. I'm so sorry. Continue. I'm so sorry, everyone. Okay, so let's step back from there. My apologies. Okay, so I was showing you this. I was talking about my room and the double variable conjugation. My room. I like my room. I like my room. I like my couch. Or I'm sorry. I like my sofa. I like my sofa. I like my sofa. I like my sofa. I like my sofa, but I don't like my TV. I like my sofa, but I don't like my TV. My TV is black. My TV is big. Whatever. And all of those lines are scaffolded. They're included one at a time so that they're not overwhelmed. Do not write this all at once, okay? This can take an entire class, maybe a class and a half, until they're comfortable actually going over every one of these single lines, okay? And then you go from my room, okay? Then you can introduce a topic of family because it uses essentially the same grammar. When you're talking about your possession, you say, I like my room. You also say, I like my family. And from those possessions where you say have, okay, now you can start talking about like as one of the variables that you have to choose when you get to the question point, okay? I have an uncle. I have a sister. Do you have a sister? I like my mother. I like my father. And you don't have to ask the do you have a father? Do you have a mother? That sounds strange, unless there are special circumstances to it, which probably will not come up in a normal conversation. Okay, May, thanks a lot for coming. That reflects back to the question that has to be answered. I don't have a sister. I don't have a sister. I don't have a sister, but I like my brother. I don't have a sister, but I like my brother. I don't have a sister, but I like my brother. My brother is tall. My brother is cool. And then you could start talking about combining the idea of possessions or things with family. My brother has a baseball glove. My brother has a baseball glove. My brother's baseball glove is brown. My brother's baseball glove is brown. My brother is a baseball player. And once you start letting them off the leash little by little by little, they're going to start finding that they're actually expressing their own independent ideas and their own independent situations in terms of their own opinions about certain things or certain people. And then you start encouraging them by you in your demonstrations to not follow this order. You just start with, I like my family. I like my family. My sister is a yoga teacher. My sister is a yoga teacher. My sister is a yoga teacher. My sister is very healthy. My sister is very healthy. My sister is a yoga teacher, so she is very healthy. I love my sister. My sister lives in Canada. My sister lives in Canada. I love my sister. I love my sister. Do you have a sister? I don't have a sister. I don't have a sister. I don't have a sister, and I don't have a brother. I don't have a sister, and I don't have a brother. But I like my uncle very much. My uncle is rich. My uncle is rich. My uncle is rich. My uncle comes to Fukuoka. My uncle comes to Fukuoka. I eat with my uncle at a restaurant. I eat with my uncle at a restaurant. My uncle is rich. I'm happy. I'm happy. Do you like your uncle? And all of those other things that you can show that they're allowed to put in their own variations. And maybe they can, maybe they can't. But what I find is when there's one kid that can do it, their voice sometimes, because they're proud of the fact they can do it, starts to reflect in the 2 or 3 groups next to them. And the 2 or 3 pairs next to them start to go, oh, that's how you throw a variation in there. And then they start thinking on their own. That naturally spreads as these kids start switching rows and start switching pairs. It's just a really organic way for them to inspire each other to do new things. Okay. Any questions to this point? We're starting to run out of time. I knew this was going to happen. Okay. Once you get them to understand that you speak with speed, you repeat the things that you can say, okay, and then you provide more information, which is what that diagram was showing, okay. You can just write that up on the board and say, well, remember, these are the basics of communication fluency. Speak with speed, repeat what you say until you come up with a new idea. You give more information, repeat that. Don't forget your preferences. That's what the plus and minus is, okay? And the topic right now is high school, okay? High school, and here's my demonstration. I went to high school in Canada. I went to high school in Canada. I went to high school in Canada. My high school was big. My high school was very big. My high school was very big. My high school had 2,000 students. My high school was very big. My high school was very big. My high school had 2,000 students. My high school was good at sports. My high school was good at sports. I loved my high school. I loved my high school. Did you like your high school? I liked my high school, blah, blah, blah. I liked my high school uniform. I didn't like my high school. I liked my math teacher. I didn't like my English teacher. These kids will come up with all kinds of things. And you let them have their moment to shine. If they try to do something funny, and you know, if it's an honestly humorous moment, laugh with it, go for it. Okay, all of these things can go. Any questions of that? I want to show you just one more thing before we go to questions because it's a really fun thing to do. Anybody?
I have a question, but I'll save it.
Are you sure?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Once you've got these kids being able to do independent turns, okay, you see this last little point here? Okay. No questions? Draw that up on the board and tell them, listen, I'm going to make it easier for you. You know how hard those questions were to formulate and how hard it was to go from making statements that you can repeat very easily. And then you got to switch to a question and you got to choose between have and like and na. Okay, just take it out. Just when you're done saying what you want to say about your sister and you're done saying what you want to say about, you know, pineapple pizza, how much you hate it, like some people do. Okay, just stop. Just show that you're finished, because when we you speak in Japanese, when I speak in English, when you're done telling the story, you just stop. Show your partner that you're finished. And I'll give you a hint. Okay, don't do this. I hate pineapple pizza. Don't do that. Okay, try this. I hate pineapple pizza. I hate pineapple pizza. The other person will naturally know that it's their turn to speak. They will speak. They will come. One of the things that you're worried about is that they're not going to know that you're finished. They'll know that you're finished because you finished. You stopped. Put that slash through the question mark. Reinforce it through demonstrations. Expect this will take a few turns. So get a couple topics ready, like high school, food, and make the topic easy. Okay. Don't throw in world peace or climate change unless you want failure. Okay, stay with sports, stay with music, have a repertoire of topics that you know is a good place to do new information scaffolding so that they know that it's okay to use the stuff that they used before because they're trying something new, like not speaking with questions. They will then learn, okay, going from not speaking with questions, that communication fluency and conversation doesn't need a lot of those questions. And they're so used to always following up a statement with a question. Okay, it's going to be hard for them because they have to know the timing of saying those questions. I'm going to skip workarounds, although it was a really fun thing to do just because we ran out of time, okay? Because I want to talk about how to prepare the tests, okay? Now, unfortunately, I prepared actually an entire 2 years worth of stuff that I was going to show you guys, but we just got to the end of the first semester. Okay, test preparation. What do you do from here? If they are already good at doing this without questions, okay, you tell them, well, guys, it's week 13, week 12, time to get ready for your tests. Well, let's describe the test to you. And I think I showed you the description of the test. If not, I'll show you a little bit later. Basically, you'll be speaking in groups, okay, and you'll be speaking in natural conversation. But let's take a different turn to get you ready for conversations. We're going to do something called a word throw. Hands up for anyone that has seen the word throw before. Hands up in reaction buttons. I think maybe Mallory has. Mallory's a big fan. She's seen a lot of my stuff before. Okay, but not everyone. Okay, so let's go back to it. Basically, I will take one English word. You will prepare one English word. And as soon as I finish saying my word, you will say your word to me. I will then say another word. And it will always be a different word from whatever was said in this pair. You always have to have a brand new word. Okay? And Mallory, because you've seen this before, we're going to do it with you.
Okay.
Okay? So what I tell the kids is, don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about any connection to any kind of theme. Okay? They're just throwing these words out like it's a ping pong rally. Okay, Mallory, ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Blanket.
Coat.
Fork.
House.
Ants.
Animals.
Wine.
Drink.
Basket.
Baseball.
Good. She's pretty good at it, mostly because she's a native speaker. But I hopefully can show them that I'm going to go faster than that Japanese kid because I had a theme. My theme, I don't know. Did you hear my theme, Mallory?
No, sorry, I got lost.
No problem. Most people can't because they're concentrating on their own words, right? But I tell them, it's going to be much easier for you if you pick a theme. My theme was picnic. That's why I started with blanket, and I started with fork, and I started with a basket, or I said basket, and everything that I said, I had an image in my head, and explained to them, you have to have a message before you come into a conversation. You have to build a message during the conversation. But everything that you say gets much easier. You actually know what you want to say. If you don't know what you want to say and you're sitting down with a bunch of people who are talking about sports and it's your turn, it's your fault for not having prepared something. But if you prepare something, things get so much easier. So I go through an imagination exercise with them. I say, pick a theme. I don't care what your theme is. Don't even say it out loud. Pick a theme. Now, imagine that theme in your head. Imagine it until you see people's faces, you see colors. What time of day is it? Is it raining? Is it sunny? Are you indoors? Are you outdoors? Now, imagine it until you can see people moving or you can see people acting. Now, those actions, put the words on them. Kick, jump, run, drink. Oh, you're at a soccer stadium drinking beer and watching sports. Great. Now you're going to have all bunch of things that you can say. And then we do this as word throw first randomly, then we do it on topics maybe. In the next stage of the word throw, double word throw, 2 words. It's harder, don't have to demonstrate it, but you can imagine how much harder that would be, okay? And that goes from word throw to phrase throw. Phrase throw. The phrases then get a constricting factor. One of them has to be a verb. Don't care what verb, doesn't have to have any relationship with the other word. They can both be verbs, okay? The first one can be the verb, the last one can be the verb, doesn't matter, but at least one of them has to be a verb, okay? Then they're gonna start saying things like sister, study, play, baseball. Okay, you know what? If you just tag on one more word, you've got a sentence. Sister, study English. Oh, you mean your sister? Yeah, my sister studies. Oh yeah, but don't rag on them if during the sentence throw, they still say things like sister study English, because that is a perfectly communicative phrase. Not a perfectly grammatical sentence, but this is what you want. I play baseball actually is perfectly, not perfectly, but it's a grammatical phrase. Once they get used to sentences, okay, we do double sentence throw. And once you get to double sentence throw in pairs, then I'm going to go to over here. And I'm going to show you how to set this up so then they get to the first stage of being able to do this in groups. Okay, back to good nuts. Okay, and I prepared this. You can't see that yet. Why not? I thought I started my share. Oh, I know. I forgot to push that button. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Okay, I prepared this. Now, imagine there were 2 rows, okay? And this is me at the front. So these rows are, this one would be going up, this one would be going down, this one would be going up, this one would be going down, okay? But basically, here's one student and here's another student. Now, normally they'd be going in pairs, so this kid would be talking to that kid, but you want them to get used to doing groups, okay? Whoa, that's my chair bumping my tripod. Okay, so what I would do is say, okay, let's put you in groups of 3. And I would go up and down the rows and I would tell them, okay, you're number 1, you're number 2, you're number 3. Now, you're number 1, you're number 2, you're number 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Whoops, okay, I guess I miscounted with the number of squares here. Okay, so let's just knock out these guys and this guy. Okay. Now I go over to the next row and I do it again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, okay? And 1, 2, 3. But if there actually was a 4th here, then it's okay, put them up as a 4th. But usually what I do at the beginning of the class is I count these and I try to figure out what the number of 3-person groups and 4-person groups are. And sometimes you need 2 4-person groups to to get a solid number of 3 and 4-person groups. If you do end up with a 4-person group, do not put it at the back of the class. Because if you put it at the back of the class and they do their seat switching, okay, this pair 3 and 4 will stay with just a couple of people changing out. But if you put them up here, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 at the front of the class, then they'll always be switching out and it'll always be a brand new 4-person group. Put the 4-person group at the front of the class, make this a 3-person group at the back of the class. Okay. But you'll get the experience of it. It's hard sometimes to explain, but you can basically play with that. And then in this arrangement, you tell them now in a 3-person group, in a 4-person group, okay, as I told you your number, you're the first one to start, you're the second one to start, you're the third. Let's do phrase throw again. Or let's do word throw, whatever you want to start from. Do word throw again, 1 goes to 2, 2 goes to 3, 3 goes to 1. Then you pick it up again from 2 word throw, then to phrase throw, then to sentence throw, then to double sentence throw in groups. Okay. And once you've got them to double sentence throw in these ordered groups, then you tell them, okay, now let's explain the entire semester. Whoops, sorry, share. Continue. Let's go back to where we were before when we were talking about the test assessment. And where is the test assessment slide? Did I actually include that? Well, okay, let's take a look at it from here. And I tell them, Here we are. Okay, unrehearsed group conversations. No, that's not the one I wanted. Sorry, I'm being confused here. But we make the groups, tell them, okay, you're going to be making groups of 3 or 4. I'm not going to say who's in your groups. Okay, you just go ahead and choose the people that you like and give me a list of names. I get those names. I put them into these sheets. These sheets will have that great big number 1 or 2 or 3, and that will determine the order of which group goes with me into the separate room to do their test. I don't say anything about who's in the groups. I only tell them, listen, just got to be 3 or 4. But if there's a problem, you know, if there's a 5th or something, maybe I have to do something in terms of population, but they get to choose this. They choose topic number 1, either there or at some point during the testing period. And I tell them topic number 2 at the end. Okay. Then I tell them, okay, now that you've got your group selected, go into your groups and go places where, you know, you're not too close to other groups, and let's start it again. Okay, let's start from sentence throw. Choose your order. Your 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, then that's fine. Now, let's go to double sentence throw. And then slowly and slowly you scaffold up to your major target, which is independent, randomized order, group conversation. Okay, so you're still scaffolding the amount that they have to say. Everybody has to say 2 sentences at a time. And then you can say, okay, let's remove that restriction. You can say as much or as little as you want. It's perfectly natural in a conversation to say as little as really as a single word response. That's okay. But remember, I'm marking you I'm judging every single person in this group that roughly they're contributing as much as everybody else. And if all you ever say is really all the way through the conversation, you are going to bring everybody's grade down because everybody gets a single grade. Everybody gets 73 out of 100, whether you are speaking little or speaking a lot. So work as a team, okay? Be fair to each other and contribute as much as everybody else. That's the best way to get higher grades. Remove the quantity restriction. Remove the non-sentence restriction. Then tell them, okay, the hardest one is random order. Remove your order. Don't try to do this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If you feel that you're not, because some of you will, you'll feel that you're naturally going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Then it's your responsibility to break up that order. Jump in there at some point, you know, and break up that what sounds obviously like a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 order. You will find the places where you can break up the goal into even smaller and smaller micro scaffolds. Look for those moments. I can't tell you exactly where they are. I can tell you where my experience is with certain classes, depending on who these students are, their levels, you know, who they're working with. But you too, you're an experienced instructor and you're going to say, yeah, you know what? I should make that a little bit easier for them to the next step. And I cannot believe it. It's 5:30. I think, serious question, Adam. I think there's nobody after me. I think Jenny and Emily are at 6, right? And Adam is not here.
They're at 7.
They're at 7. Okay.
Yeah, they're at 7.
Okay, I got plenty of time. Any questions so far up to this point? It's coming up to the official point of close, so I can stop there for the official part, but I can keep going too if you guys want. But any questions at this point?
I had 2 questions. You just answered my first one. Does everyone get the same score? That's interesting. And I could see from your score sheet that it looked like there was just 1 score for the whole group. So that's good motivation to not bring your group down. So I like that peer pressure aspect of this assessment. And I'm also wondering if you try to train the repetition out of them at any point, or do you want them to keep that even on this final assessment if they are struggling with the next sentence and they just keep repeating, I like music, I like music, I like music, because they're trying to come up with their next sentence? Is that okay still, this repetition at the final stage?
As an instructor, you can make that choice. But what I found is that I get the opposite problem. They immediately stop repeating.
Oh.
They don't want to repeat because it feels weird Like, even if you think about it in Japanese, okasan ga suki, 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 senpuki ga suki, senpuki ga suki, which is weird, right? And how many times are you going to say senpuki ga suki until you just get really annoyed with yourself? So a lot of these kids might repeat, but most of the time, by the time, especially they get into their groups, they start speaking more naturally. And then the original problem starts to resettle in. There's not too much you can do without getting really, drill sergeant-y about it and saying, why aren't you repeating? I told you that. But if during the test, and you sometimes have this, it's not a foolproof system. You have some kids that just clam up for whatever reason, or they got nothing to say because they're so anxious. I said, I told you, man, you could have just kept going with I like ice cream. I don't know why you didn't, but why you stopped. And how about you guys? Why didn't you encourage him? I saw you guys practicing and he gets like this. Why didn't you encourage him? Why didn't you say anything? You got to work as a team. Communication is something you do together. Teachable moments, you look for them. But actually the problem goes in the other direction. So they don't repeat enough.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Other questions? Now, if you guys are so prone, I can continue. I got a bunch of other things that I can show you. I'm always running out of time, but I also don't want to chew up anyone else's time. Adam.
I would suggest that, by all means, keep on going, because the next session is actually Jenny Crittenton and Emily Chung at 7 p.m. So there is buckets of time to continue talking about this. And I know that Jose has got a whole lot more to say on this topic. We're just scratching the surface here. And I'd like to say that perhaps someday you should consider turning this into your own MOOC and on teaching people how to actually do this. You could even charge a little fee for that. That'd be pretty cool.
Maybe I'll write a book.
But right now, just because it's the end of the allotted session time, I'd like to just invite everybody to open their microphones and cameras and give Jose a big round of applause. I know he won't ask for it for himself, so let's give him.
And what I'll do is I'm going to stop this recording. So bye, everyone. Okay, so Margaret, can you just state quickly what it was that you were saying about your textbook and stuff for September?
Just add a little bit extra to what I didn't say before, but I have made a grammar textbook with a couple of other Japanese chappies who have done the grammar section, and I've done reading parts. And when I do when we used to teach together, I would have my colleague do the grammar, and then I would help with reading and reading aloud and where to put the pauses and things like that. But now in September, the chappies that were doing it with me before have retired, and this semester I'm going to be working with Alex, and we're going to be using the textbook. Yes, Alex. And we're going to be using the textbook, which has grammar and reading. So instead of just going and doing the usual Japanese style grammar, I would like to incorporate your way of going through the grammar points and then help them once they know their little blocks and that, or have a better grasp of that idea. Then I think that their reading aloud will turn out better, and hopefully we can get expansion to them telling stories or writing stories or speaking in longer conversations. It's only a 4-day intensive class, or 3 days for Alex, 4 days for me. But it sounds so much more inviting to me to be doing it this way, as in the opposed, instead of the Japanese way of going through the grammar and teaching the grammar and then saying, well, okay, now let's read it out loud. And
right. So do you have a choice of actually, like, if you said, let's just skip all that about reading it out loud, would you be able to do that? Or do you have to incorporate that read out loud aspect?
I'm the boss, so I can say what to do.
So I'm good. I'm just going to grab.
I teach primary school teachers mostly, and I teach them to read out loud for the little textbook, for the little picture books and stuff. So I do prefer to teach reading out loud somewhere in the course.
Okay, so I don't have any children's books, but for example, one thing that I do with my mentees when I'm showing this, because as I think it was David who was saying before, well, Jose, you know, we can't implement a full VC curriculum. We're stuck with textbooks. What should we do? And I was going to show, or I wanted to choose either the exercise of where I was showing how to do agreements and a variation on Paul Nation's timed speeches, because this is the next step from, oh, there was test group creation, timed speeches. And because this is where you go in the second semester. So you see that's at week 20. So at week 20, you're already back from vacation. You're about a month into things. So you've given you enough time to get these kids back up to snuff from vacation. You do a few more AQPs, a few more OIOBs to get them back up to snuff. And then you bring in the new stuff. And the new stuff is based around implementing, I wouldn't call them, that's why I don't call them speeches too much, because they're not really quite speeches. They go 30 seconds, 45 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, back down to 1 minute, back down to 30 seconds. And if they're doing it right, they're going to take everything that they built in 2 minutes and they can rip out all the pauses and rip out all the repeats and give a nice little, I would just call it a long conversation turn. It's not even long enough to be called a monologue 30 seconds. It's a long conversation turn. And when you get to long conversation turns, then you can start doing exposition. What you like about pineapple pizza or how much you hate pineapple pizza. And I wanted to show you how I do it both with agreement and disagreement, or we can do what I was also going to offer you, which is to show you how to take any textbook or any task and take VC and show you how to scaffold any particular, I don't know, grammar target in here and turn it into a VC scaffold. What would you like me to talk about?
That, for me, anyway. I don't know about everyone else.
Alex, what would you like? It seems like you're the only.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what you were suggesting there. Yeah, so
individual
whatever, something that suits Margaret. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna.
But you have so many other people watching. So what does the general audience?
Two of them are away.
Adam's having dinner.
John counts as one person, but he hasn't said anything, and Linda hasn't said anything. But this is your last chance to speak, guys. Bummer.
Baby, oide. Sorry, I'm just putting a pill into a cat.
You can't crush it and put into her food?
No, it doesn't eat. Doesn't eat much.
Okay. Okay, so here we go. Come on. Okay, so should I wait for her to come? Should I wait for you to come back?
No, you can start. I'll run back in a moment.
So let's see, what's a good grammar target here? Should, okay? So here's a sentence. I'm just taking a random sentence here to show you just how we work with anything, okay? Oops. So, oh, come on. Intelligence and hard work should what? What's the answer? Actually, no, let's wipe that out. That's a question. So I don't want to actually think about the answer. Okay, this is what happens when you choose random things. Can you think of a grammatical point that you almost always inevitably run into, Margaret, that you might want to try to see how to scaffold?
Well, the should is fine.
I got something.
You should take your medication after dinner.
Okay.
Medical English.
You should
take this medication or the medication.
This medication after dinner. I'm still not used to writing this in very small letters. Also, it's hard because my elbow is way up in the air. But
you're doing fine. I can read it. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay. So you look at that and you think about all the parts that you can take this apart into. So you look for all, at least first, for the independent clauses. The independent clauses would be the first place where you can start splitting this up. So do you see them, or do you see any, or do you have only
the after dinner and the this medication and you should take as the verb, the should auxiliary?
Yeah. So basically, there was only one independent statement here. There are no, it's not a compound sentence or anything like that. It wouldn't be something like, I like udon because it's delicious. Like so you can go straight from it's delicious and I like udon. That's really easy to scaffold. And like I showed before, just chuck because in there and make sure that they do their understanding. But I would start here. You should take, and I would make that the first thing to do. And I would do something like, oops, you should study. And I tell them, well, guess what, kids? Should is its own grammar verb. Should he study, et cetera, and go down through the entire pronoun list. I should study, should you study, you should study, should he study, he should study, should she study. Okay. Next one, this medication. Then take something that you know they can do. I don't like medicine. Okay, that's pretty good, kids. And of course, that has the question on it. Okay, I don't like this medicine. Not bad. Okay. You could, if you thought that they needed help with things like this and that. I don't like this bicycle. I like that bicycle. I don't like this bicycle, but I like that bicycle, etc. Whatever you think that they need, and say, hey, you know, there's another way to say medicine, and it's medication. Okay, pretty good. Now let's try this one. I will study after school. Hey, pretty good. I won't study before school. You're basically just taking these parts, introducing a little bit by little bit. And something like this, I would probably say would take about 10 minutes or so. Then you just come back to the entire, sorry, it's actually back here. Come back to the entire sentence you were before and you say, hey, remember we were doing I should study, you should study? Well, let's just change that to take. Take requires an object, okay? I should take this medication. Remember, medicine, medication. Okay, when are you gonna take it? After dinner. Now, that can actually change the question, okay? So let's remove this. And after you get to, should you take this medicine after dinner as the basic question, you can start introducing, when should you take this medicine?
When should you take this medicine? You should take this medicine after dinner.
Exactly. And then you can change that over to, what should you take? What should you take after dinner? And start showing that what requires an answer of a different type of information as opposed to when, which is a requirement of time. And they go, oh yeah, that's true. That was always in my textbooks. But now they're actually saying it. You scaffold everything. You start taking it apart by dependent and independent clauses. You look for the object phrases that they do or they don't know, and you start throwing them at them in little bits and probably scaffolding until you can get to this. And by the way, you can also make this a target for smoother speaking. You should take this medication after dinner. You should take this medication after dinner. And there are all kinds of targets that you can throw in there, right?
Very nice, very nice. Right. It's got the old brain ticking.
So we have time. I'm going to show you that last little thing, okay? Are you guys familiar? Oops, I'm gonna stop this share.
Sorry, I'm listening, but I want to see you guys run through one of those drills.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm sure Margaret could do it with you.
I don't
I'm going to do it
so.
with you.
Go on.
And I'm going to do it with you. You want it, you got to do it.
I want to watch Margaret. I want to
Actually,
watch
no,
Margaret.
let's do something else, okay? But Margaret, would you like to try that?
Oh yeah, I think she would.
Shut up. Stop volunteering people. Okay, Margaret, would you like to do that, or would you like me? Because I got 10 minutes. I'm sure I can sneak in this other task.
Well, no, I'd like you to see another task.
Okay. Way to go.
I'd also like to try一緒にやってることをやってみたいんだけど、時間がないから。That's why I'm...
ごめんね。
大丈夫。いろいろ見たいから。大ファンですよ。
Okay. So, I don't know where Alex went, but I think Linda's there. Who is not familiar with Paul Nation's speech-making scaffold system? When I say Paul Nation's system, is that...
I know Paul Nation, but I'm not very familiar with the
4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes.
Okay. Have you ever actually tried to do that? And how did it go?
They get awfully fast really quickly and they get bored.
Yes. I found too with my students, to make them do something at 4 minutes within the paradigm of VC just won't work, because VC says no papers, no pens, no textbooks. It's what you already know. And to immediately say, okay, talk for 4 minutes on a topic, most of these kids, even if they've done VC, will be intimidated. So I start from a different direction, which is say, okay, you know, those independent conversations about your family and how you hate your sister and she's always bullying you. Okay. Turn that into 30 seconds of monologue, and the other person will have something on the same topic. You guys listen to each other. Okay. And let's do that. Hey, not bad. Now let's switch. Okay. Now let's take that 30 seconds. Think of 15 seconds more of stuff to say about your sister. Let's go to 45 seconds. Now, here's the key. Don't forget anything you just said. Don't make more work for yourself. Just repeat what you just said before. Then you'll only need 15 seconds more. Okay, good. Okay, now let's switch. Now let's take this up to 60 seconds. Okay, not hard. You've already done it before. Just 15 more seconds. Okay, good. Now let's switch. And then we go to 2 minutes. I know that's a lot, guys. If you want to scaffold this up to 90 seconds, that's fine. If you want to just stop at 1 minute, I've done that with some groups. 1 minute was enough for you, because we go from 30, 45, 1, 30. That was the peak for them. You decide as an instructor, but you could go 30, 45, 1, 2, 1, 30. Okay. And what you're encouraging them to do is just come up with just a little bit of new information. And then when you get past the peak, you tell them, take everything that you just said, compress it down, say it twice as fast. You're going to have only half as much time from 2 minutes to 1 minute. Now you've got that. Okay. Now from 1 minute to 30, now you got to speak even twice as fast and take out the repeating. You're going to get a nice, smooth monologue, theoretically. Okay. Okay, so they're going to get speeches, and they're going to be able to talk about their high school and other topics. I don't know, food, TV, money, work, relationships. So you throw a lot of topics at them. Then,
I start this. Sorry for interrupting, but I start this with seasons at the beginning of my debating classes. But I go up from a short piece to a longer piece. But I've never tried going down again, which is an excellent idea. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. Then once you get to the point where you say, okay, you know what, let's do computers. Okay, everybody, 30, go. Okay. Now do the other partner. Okay, ready? And okay, full seat switch. And you go through that whole scale again. And that'll take about 3 or 4 weeks once they're getting used to topics. Okay. Then we put in what I call agreement. And I tell them, okay, now you're going to do something where, because before I was telling them, now the person who's listening, shut up and listen. Okay. Don't interrupt them. Don't ask them any questions. Don't titter or giggle. Let them concentrate on what they want to say. Now we're going to introduce agreement. Okay. Or what you call in Japanese, aizuchi. And you are, as the listener, are just going to say whatever words you feed them at the start. Okay. And these are the 4 words I give them. I say, yes, great. Okay. I see. You can say any of them. You can say any of them in repetition, but you cannot say anything more than that. The other person who's speaking, do not let this person interrupt you. You know what they're going to say. It's only these four. So continue with concentrating on doing 30, 45, 1, 2, 1, 30. Okay. And go with yes. Okay. And if you want from this point, you can start putting in other words. But what I do instead, and I'm going to switch to a plain window so you can see the entire effect, is okay, we go to no, to disagreement, okay? And the partner says nothing but no.
We're seeing the yes.
Oh, sorry. That's right. I keep, sorry. I got to get used to this whole idea that I'm actually sharing from different parts.
That's why the face.
Yeah. But thank you very much. Okay, so stop share. Then I come over here and then I'll start to share again. Oh, no, it's okay. Okay, so we go from yes to no. And this time it's even simpler. There is nothing but no. Okay. And here's just a quick example. I'm assuming that they've already got their monologues from before and they were using them during the yes phase. And it's okay. Just use that same 30 seconds. Okay. But now your partner is not going to agree with you. They're going to disagree with you. Okay. And watch the video. Ready? 30秒間でいきますよ. Ready? Ready? Studying is very important. No. Studying is the most important thing for university students. No. University students have to study. No. You are a university student. No. Yes, you're a university student. No. Yes, you came to study. No. You should study. Study all the time. No. Study all the time. This is your job. No. This is your job. No. Good. Okay. And by the way, probably Margaret, you do this too. I teach in Japanese, and it helps convey the meaning much more quickly. Yes. I know some, doesn't it? It lets them focus not on the teacher's instructions. That doesn't become the focus. The focus is on the actual duty that they have to do, the actual task that they do. And they understand the task instructions so much better. But if you can't speak Japanese, you just have to rely on your ability to demonstrate, the reduction of vocabulary, more demonstration, and you just keep going with that. After they learn to just say no, like that one girl was just saying, no, no, no. And people were being encouraging and everybody was having a good time. But then I tell them, bring it up a notch. And when you say no, you use an intimidating face, right? And as an intimidating face, just yell it out and no, 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 no. And we switched to demonstration where the student is speaking and I'm the one yelling no, and I'm drowning them in no's, trying to get them to stop. Then the next step is, after the next switch, slap the table. No! And just get them to like freak out a bit, but know how to handle it when their boss freaks out, when this gaijin wants to speak to the manager at McDonald's or whatever, right? And just tell them,
got it.
You know, that kind of thing, right? And that happens in Japanese or happening in English. We go from yes to no, which is just straight, strict agreement, disagreement. Okay. And then we go to meaning checks and rebuttal. And unfortunately, we're starting around the time. But basically, we take that whole thing where we're saying, I like udon because it's delicious. Maybe the topic is baseball, or maybe the topic is sports. I like baseball because it's strategic. I like baseball because it's traditional. Baseball is cool. Japanese baseball is the best. And you train them.
Cricket.
Whatever. Okay. You talk about cricket later. Okay. I'm talking about baseball. Anyway, now your job as a partner is to just suck up all this information saying, okay, so you like baseball because it's traditional, and you like baseball because Japan is best, and tell them it's okay. You don't have to remember all of them. Okay. But if they give you 3, remember at least 2. They give you 4, try to remember 4. Maybe you'll only get 2. It's okay. Because you're just going to show them that you understood what they were saying and that you were actively listening, and then you were bringing this back to them, telling them, I confirm what you said. I understand what you said. Okay. But, you know, cricket, baseball is based on cricket. Cricket is played in many, many countries. Cricket is international. The Ashes, you want tradition, you want the Ashes. And then you keep going with that. You ask the other person before they go to rebuttal that they go to meaning check. And that's where the scaffolding to because becomes really important at the beginning. So you bring that in at the beginning, show because and so, then bring in meaning checks and rebuttal at the end of the class, and then they're finding something useful to it, right?
Excellent, excellent.
I'm going to stop because I'm going to go have some dinner before I go to get ready for my friend's presentation. Jenny should be giving a really...
And I got to make dinner.
Yeah, okay. So anybody else, any questions? John, Alex, I don't know if Linda's still there.
That's all good. It's all good. It gives us some...
I'm waiting for my pizza.
Did you?
Pineapple pizza.
Yeah.